Hi, Rabbi Landis from Partners in Torah of Cleveland. I would like to share with you a profound idea that relates to the beginning of the Pesach Seder. Right at the beginning of the Seder, we're all familiar with the 4 questions. One of those questions is, Shabachol Alelos and Anu Matbilim Afilu Pa'am Echas, that on all the nights of the year, we don't even dip once. Halayla Hazeh Shtei Pa'amim, but on the night of the Pesach Seder, we dip 2 times. Those 2 dippings are obviously referring to the vegetable dipped into salt water and the maror dipped into the charoses. Many of the commentators on the Haggadah explain that there's a hidden symbolism to these 2 dippings, and that they are referring to 2 dippings that took place in Jewish history. What are those 2 dippings? The first one is Vipul es Kesonos Badam, the dipping of Joseph's coat into the blood when his brothers sold him into slavery so that they could fool their father into thinking that he was killed by a wild animal. And the second one is Ulakachtim Agudas Ezov Utovaltem Badam Asher Basaf, that before the Jews left Egypt, they had to take branches and dip into the blood of the Paschal Lamb and put it on their doorposts so that the angel of death would pass over their homes. One dipping is referring to Joseph and his brothers, and the other is dipping to that event that took place right before the Jews left Egypt. What do these 2 events have to do with each other? If we want to look at one event that led the Jews to being taken down to Egypt, to eventually being enslaved in Egypt, it was that event of Joseph being sold into slavery. Joseph was sold, then the famine came and his brothers had to come down, the whole stage was set, he revealed himself, but eventually the Jews were enslaved in Egypt. And the event that started it off was that fight of one brother against another, was that brother against brother, was that Jew against Jew. That's what led to the exile in Egypt. That's what led to the slavery in Egypt. How did the Jews get out? What was the last act that the Jews did before they could leave Egypt? Ulakachtim Agudas Ezov. What does Agudah mean? It means coming together. As if to say that the way that the Jews finally got out of Egypt was when they came together. What caused the Jews to go down into exile? It was brother against brother. Sinas Chinam. Baseless hatred one Jew to another. What caused the Jews to get out of Egypt? Becoming one Agudah. Becoming one bundle. Becoming one community. That's how the Jews got out of Egypt. And if it was true for the Jews in Egypt, it's even more true for us Jews nowadays. We're living in a situation right now where the Jewish community is troubled on so many ends, on so many sides. In Israel, we are so sick of hearing about the daily attacks, the terror attacks. And right here in the States, I'm sure we're all disgusted by the BDS movement, which is just the new form of anti-Semitism that exists in the world. It's clear that the Jewish people need some kind of redemption. Now, even if you have trouble understanding the lofty ideas of the Messianic era and everything that comes along with it, I'm sure we can all grab onto those ideas of world peace, of lo yisa goya goya chereb, that a nation shouldn't lift a sword against another nation, lo yilmadu od milchama, that we shouldn't know from war anymore. That we can relate to, that we can grab onto. Living in a world where there's no more BDS movement, where there's no more terrorism, where we don't have to worry about these things, that we can relate to. That redemption we can look forward to and grab onto. But how do we get there? Ulakachtim Agudas Ezov. We have to come together as a Jewish community. We have to embrace one another and become one united Jewish community. Once we've reached that point, once we've become a united Jewish community, then we've undone the baseless hatred that has thrown us into this exile, and then we can reap all the wonderful things that we're told will happen when that redemption comes. But it can only come when we come together. Coming together doesn't mean everybody being the same or everyone doing the same thing. It means one united community of individuals who are doing their best to serve the will of our Father in heaven. I hope that you can take this idea and it can make your Seder just a little bit more meaningful. Have a Chag Kosher Sameach. Have a happy and kosher Passover.
בכל יום